Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Wind Blast, a Chinese action movie from 2010. A hitman slash underground boxer, played by Xia Yu, flees through the Gobi Desert with his girlfriend, played by Charlie Yeung. Several nemeses are hot on his trail, including a pair of ruthless killers, played by Francis Ng and Yunnan, and a cadre of lawmen, which include Duan, Yihong, and Jing. So early on, the officers manage to capture these lovebirds on the run and take them to their camp, but the assassins soon appear, and this ignites a series of surprising and explosive reversals. So this movie has a sense of humor to it, early on at least. It begins with a brief murder perpetuated by our lead character, then it immediately shifts to Wu Jing and the boys who are driving through the desert. So they make a pit stop, but then a hitchhiker girl just comes from out of nowhere, gets into their car and demands a ride because her travel companions left her in the middle of the desert. So Wu Jing, trying to help this girl out, he peels out, burns rubber in the car, chases these dudes down, and then intimidates them in order to teach them a lesson. And that whole opening sequence is pretty amusing. I kind of liked it. It establishes a little bit of a lighter tone for the early stages. But Wind Blast does take itself seriously, for the most part, which creates kind of like this nicely tempered sense of humor that lies beneath the surface in this film. You know, it doesn't get wacky or anything like that, really. The action physics are a mix of realistic and unrealistic elements. I mean, some of the gun shooting accuracy in this film is just freaking ludicrous. I mean, there's a dude who, like, shoots the bell off of a moving horse while he's also on a horse. just so the horse will get spooked and the dude riding it will fall over. It's like, okay. There's a scene where a woman's in a truck and she shoots through the door of the truck outside and it hits the leg of a horse who's, like, riding next to her. So it's just... yeah, this gets a little bit unrealistic. If you tried those shots in real life 1,000 times, you still wouldn't be able to hit them. But overall, still, the filmmakers do a pretty good job of keeping things grounded and realistic enough to make the action set pieces more impactful. One of the action highlights is a neat assault sequence that happens at night. You know, the cops are resting and they're in these, like, large tents. But the assassins come in and attack. And there's quite a bit of suspense in that scene. You know, I like the fight involving the lady assassin and Wu Jing, where she uses, like, a flashlight to blind him, because it's in the middle of the night, right? That was a pretty cool scene. Now, the fights in this film are not many. There's only a few hand-to-hand fights. They are edited maybe a little bit too closely for my liking, a bit too tightly, but it's still a pretty cool scene, the one with Wu Jing and the assassin lady. A lot of suspense and excitement in that scene. Another highlight is the truck chase shootout that incorporates Molotov cocktails and some nifty driving. The way these action set pieces are constructed and executed is very nice, I think. You know, they're kind of fast-paced, they have an excitement, an octane to them, as I like to say, and the characters need to move quickly to, like, counter the enemy's attacks. It's what you like to see in an action scene. The finale is a pretty neat standoff shootout in and around a police station, I think it was. And I must say that this is one of the most badass characters Francis Ng has ever played. I mean, he and his assassin partner are outnumbered by the protagonist, basically, throughout the entire film. But they're intimidating. You know what I mean? And the cops have a very difficult time dealing with these two assassins while they're transporting these, the criminal after they catch him. So it's a very nice kind of dynamic that I liked. One important thing to understand, though, in these action set pieces, is that Wu Jing really does not showcase his martial arts abilities much, okay? I feel like they should have allowed him to kind of strut his stuff more, but he still gets a lot of screen time and contributes more than enough entertainment value during the action sequences. Just make sure you go into this expecting chases and shootouts instead of hand-to-hand fighting. This is more of like a higher octane neo-western than anything else. So overall, I'd say the quality and the quantity of the action satisfies in Wind Blast, and that helps to keep the pacing up as well. I really like the natural environments. Lots of desert and rocky hills and stuff like that. The sand in this movie is like a bright white at times, which is pretty cool, pretty sweet to look at. And as an added bonus, the final half hour gives us some snowy imagery, which I always appreciate. The music in this is lively, jazzy, and kind of energetic. Story and the characters, they are pretty thin, really. There's one scene, for example, where Wu Jing gets angry and tells Duan Yihong, basically tells him off, starts yelling at him. And it just kind of happens out of nowhere, it feels like. It's a well-acted exchange, but it seemed like they were just trying to force in some character, backstory and a little bit of exposition in there to kind of give a little color to the characters. So at times it does feel a little bit forced in the character realm. And it does happen a few times in the film. But I do like how all of the characters in this film could be seen as protagonists. Even Francis Ng, who's like this badass assassin, is kind of another protagonist in the film. There's one character who's a bit dicey right from the start. You just know that character's going to be a problem. But outside of that character, everyone else is kind of a protagonist, even though they're fighting against one another. So I kind of like that aspect to it. And there's kind of a mutual respect at times between these people, even though they're pitted against one another. Performances are all good, that's good stuff. So I would say if you're in the mood for like a briskly paced, neo-Western style action flick with some recognizable faces, check out Wind Blast. I enjoyed it. Just don't expect a lot of deep story or characters going into this. But as a pure entertainment vehicle, I think it's good stuff. It's currently available on physical media, and you might be able to find it streaming on a few sites as well. And as always, I will see you next time.